Okay, we're bottom of page Tesrov. So in the middle of talking about the two types of tainug, of avo. It's pilus alev. So he says, there's yesh. He says the pilus alev in such a way that when he feels the inspiration, he feels the early key, that makes him want more. So he's saying 3 lines on the bottom of page 12. There is a situation that if he's satisfied, he doesn't want, he's good, he enjoys he gets the pleasure and the delight from the Asagale keys, that satisfies him. So that is when the Asaga Chitzonis, when it's not internalized, it's external, then the asaga, then the avodah is that the asaga satisfies him. He takes care of the thirst and the desire.
So hasago chitzoni meaning like what? It just realizes from the verse from nothing.
What is the asaga chitzonis? He says the two types of asaga. The asaga chitzonis, which is he doesn't describe it exactly. Earlier in my before he spoke about asaga magushemes. It's a more external type of asaga. It's not deep. It's not that deep because it's not that deep. So he's satisfied with what he has. But if he reaches the deeper level of understanding, so it's just 2 stages of understanding. There's a chitzonius asaga. If the asaga is external and more, we can't call it even superficial. It's not really superficial. But in the mind before, he spoke about asaga magushemes. It's less abstract. It's more superficial, maybe that's the right word. It is the right word, superficial. The asaga is not as deep, so then whatever he understands satisfies him. But if he reaches the depth of the asaga likis, in the kolsha masha'ina, that's a begilia, is that the more he feels the inspiration, the more revealed. I know what the Indian is by their claw, the clearer it is, the more he feels it, the more he enjoys it, the more he what's the word? Delightful. Okay, so like we spoke last time, the way it describes it, I mean, there are 2 types of ava. There's an ava that's given if it's superficial. So whatever he gets gives him satisfaction. He's good. He doesn't want more. But if he understands it deeper, so the more he understands, the more he perceives it, the more he enjoys it, the more the thirst becomes strong. He wants more. Because he captures the depth of it, so he wants more. Like I said, what is the underlying reason for this? Because when he sees it, when he perceives it superficially, there's also, it's interesting description of a certain condition, but In other words, when you get something very superficial, so you think that's all there is to it, and you're satisfied. But when you get deeper and you get the deeper meaning of it, so that itself gives the person the recognition that there's more depth to it. Merely once more. Because he understands better, understands deeper, so he feels how really how great it is. So the tzimon is stronger than the fact that he's satisfied. He's satisfied, but he wants more. It gives him a drive to the more. That's one observation. But even more, a deeper way to look at it. Like earlier in the Maya, with the previous Maya, he spoke about how from the Bina you get to such a level of chokhmah that's l'mayla mitam vadas. So the same thing here in the emotional side of it. The deeper he gets, the more he recognizes that there's something he'll never be able to understand. So that creates even a stronger shlomayla memusik. He'll never reach it. So that creates a stronger thirst and yearning. So that is one way to understand why the deeper he reaches, the stronger the yearning is. So that's tzimoin. Then it says the opposite of tzimoin. Verkehrt. Besimcha of tov liva mikol vasa ve'avasa zeh slonikim v'chayim. Then there is another way that it expresses itself. There's the tzimoin, which, like I said, tzimoin means the yearning to more, to have more. Another way that this deeper understanding drives him is that brings simcha to levov. It brings joy and happiness and gladness. He feels very in a state. He's in a state of joy and excitement, and the tov levov, being glad of from the fact that he reached that closeness, proximity to Elikus. Similar to the fact that he's happy with the fact that he understands that he loves. It says kamoy, which is mamish like here splitting here. There's the thing itself. There's something similar. The afal bisha baba mogash ba'atzmai. Okay, so he wants to bring out as this. Okay, so first he spoke about the tzimoin part. So what is tzimoin? Tzimoin means that he's lacking something. So Mamela tzimoin is really tzimoin, yearning, thirst. It's really a feeling of I would call it even negative. In other words, it's a feeling that he's lacking. So that's similar to bittul. In other words, it's not that he's not satisfied. Forget he misses something. So that's a state of bittul. Then he says, even if he reaches a state of simcha tov levov, which is not bittul, he's happy, he's joyful. So in that way, he's happy and he's excited and he's glad. That is not should be a concept of yeshus. Even that is not, compared to what it says in Tanya, in Sof Perikala, when they get to Umasailam, that Chesed Avdil Gam Me'ayabdin, in other words, the goodness, the goodness and the kindness is the Gamayu. It's really an expression of its own ego, but in our case, the Simcha is not that. Ain't the Gamayu. No, was Ela Ava v'Simcha v'Eina Lekim Mamash. It's like a Simcha, but it's a godly type of Simcha. It's not, his ego is not Tefes Makom. Now he's going to go to longer arichas to describe how it works, which is pretty subtle, but we'll see what he says.
So, and he's having this, what happened when he's having this simcha? He's having a bigger tzimoin?
No. It says oi. It's he wants to describe two ways. He wants, again, what he started saying is that it's possible in the Ava, which is this pilot, should also have a beetle of ayin, right? So the first part was tzimoin. Tzimoin is a beetle. When you're thirsty and yearning for something, it really means you feel that you don't feel your own. You want something else. So it's really a type of beetle. That we finished tzimoin in the first 5 lines of this page. Then he starts saying another point. Not tzimoin. Now it's simcha v'tov. No was. He wants to describe and simcha v'tov is also not yet there's beetle. But that is much subtler. But that's what he's going to describe here quite barishus. So he says like this. For example, someone is very excited, very happy and joyful. He did the mitzvah, he put on tefillin, he took lulav, he's happy. Or basic Torah. For example, a person learning Torah and he's happy. He's enjoying it, he's happy, he's joyful. It's not a state of purity. It's not, there's no yeshus, there's no purity. But is, in other words, so that's a statement he's making here, which is like I said, it's a chiddush. All along we spoke that Ava is yesh mishayim. It's yeshes. It's his own. He feels himself. What he says here is that when there's a real simcha shel mitzvah, there is no yeshes. Ain't no pchinas pil nelikus. Imeya is the amitis abayda haknas as noch orach leyitzay. The real what I would say it's not filled if he has simcha and the person learns Gemara or and he's enjoying himself. He gets joy and happy. Or he does a mitzvah and he's enjoying himself. So it should be pure nalikus. Says no, because it does it till Shem Shamayim, it does not pure. The real avodah is not that he doesn't enjoy it. It's not you. It's not he does it for the Eibishter's sake, not for his own sake, not because he enjoys it. The Eibishter wants him to do it. He does it. Like Rashi says, Oy, so the real avodah is when he does it, he's not counted. Either he does it lachas nachasol, which is interesting. I mean, I think this expression maybe that is something that's used in Tanya. Based on Kabbalah. We say every morning, you do things because there has to be a connection, which means the Amshachas Lekus. It's not about yourself. So what he says that either Lachas Nachasuach or the Kutshuv. Both of them are expressions of the feeling that he is not the person who does the mitzvah, the Lord's Torah, he's not part of it. He just does what the Eibishter wants. So this is the real avodah. But if a person enjoys it and he's happy and he's It's excited. There's yes. So that's a thing she's saying. If the fact is that he's happy, it makes him happy that he does a mitzvah. He's happy that he fulfills the Eibishter's what's interest. And not only that, he's happy with the inspiration that he gets from it. He's happy with the Eliki. It's not a pure. It's not a pure. The fact that he's happy doesn't separate him, doesn't make him pure. So similarly, when we speak, so this was like a dogma. Similarly in our but he's talking about in our mind. He's talking about simcha v'ava v'avoda. This happiness, this joy, this love, it's really it's all about the Eibishter. That it brings in the famous passage. Lita means I'm enjoying it. But here the simcha, the happiness, and the ava, it's not masheloitoi. And the shein be'ergesh hazeh b'pnei oid b'pnei sheloitoi v'adom. He's not. His happiness and his joy is not a result because he's benefiting from it. The Geschmack, the Simcha, is Einige also, the Simcha, the Einige, the happiness is for the Kus. Geen Avalikus, either Shave Masheloitoi, Shadel Masheves Atzmai, Kim Avalikus, Masalikus. Oma bekach shesameach v'nana levar v'gam omize. Was shad that he is also enjoying it. Arei nema is Hashem Simcha.
But what he's doing, but the joy that he has is from that he's understanding is, in other words, it's not really his intention could be just or the fact that it's coming from is from what he's learning and having gishmak. It's not necessarily.
Okay, so that's what is machalek here. Let's see. He'll finish the sentence. Maybe we understand better. So he says, "Avo." Okay, so this is if it's all about the likus. I'm
sorry interrupting you. So
yeah.
right now he's talking about which joy.
What?
Right now at this section, what joy he's talking about? If it's not from his
joy
own
is only
understanding.
about elikus. He's happy that the Eibishter is happy that the Eibishter is happy. Let's start to give it an example of, let's say you do a favor to someone, you do a favor to your child. Let's say you love your child so much, and you're doing it for him. So it's only about him. You don't think about yourself. It's only thinking about him. You can say that in a way. Or you do a favor to another person. You don't think about yourself. So you're happy that you make him happy. So you don't think about yourself. You feel about him. So similarly, in this context, you're happy that the likus is that you're in this proximity of likus. You connected to likus. It's not about you. It's a subtle difference. Let's see. You'll say the opposite, then you understand what it means. In other words, if the purpose is to feel good about yourself, to make yourself feel good, so where do we see it? Where does it express itself? He feels important. He feels choshev. Oh, that's really what expresses itself. That it feels good that you reached it and the other person next to you didn't reach it. You feel better than the other one next to you. Say, this person next to me, he couldn't reach that level of connection to Likus. I reach it, so that makes me happy. It makes him arrogant. So that in other words, it gives us a very clear definition of when the simcha is a likus and when it's not a likus. If this simcha gives you triggers within the person a feeling of arrogance and looking down at people around him who didn't reach his level, that is a sign that it's not about a likus, it's about himself. Because he says, I reached it, he didn't reach it. I feel I'm great. It's nasim. That's aviyeshes.
But this is extreme.
What?
This is extreme. This is obvious. This is like something that you feel.
Okay.
You feel that.
Yeah, you're right. That's extreme. But I think it talks about it as not just that's extreme. But the truth is, you can think about it also in the subtle ways to have that. Okay, I mean, he lays it out for us, but we have to understand how this itself is subtle. So it can be not in the global way that he looks mamish down at people like them. The fact that he feels that he compares himself to others, even in the most subtle way, that itself is a sign that it's not about the likus. If he only thinks of a likus, he doesn't think about. He doesn't see himself more important, more higher than anybody next to him. That is a sign that this is pious is not about his yeshus. I'm
saying, but what is not? I guess not. Maybe I didn't get it, but the fact that the person is just learning and then enjoying the learning. You know, saying not necessarily thinking about the lukus and not thinking about.
Okay, that's it. Now you're talking about
being arrogant. Something like in the middle. What is that?
No, that. So I don't know. I mean, first of all, he doesn't talk about it, but enjoying learning is not a likus. That's enjoying learning. That's something else. Enjoying learning is also more about yourself. You have a geschmack here. Somebody likes Coke, lahavdil, and you like learning. So that's also about yourself. I mean, it's not as bad as Yeshus, his pilots, but still, it's not. It's yourself. But if you like the learning because the likus was there, because you like godliness, so that is an expression. I think. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't describe that situation. It doesn't have learning. It says tefillot, mitzvahs. You can't say you like putting on tefillin, right? I mean, he could maybe in theory, but it's like a geschmack in doing a mitzvah. So that means that's bittul, because you have no reason to do a mitzvah other than realizing that the Eibishter wants you to do a mitzvah. But could be that when you do the mitzvah, if you not you, I mean, if the person who does it is again compares himself that he did the mitzvah in such a great way, the guy next to him didn't manage to do it. He doesn't have such nice feeling. Just giving you a example, but so that's obviously yeshus. But if he just enjoys it for the sake of the mitzvah itself, then it's a likus. That is it. Aval, again, he goes on. Aval ispayas lekim ba'ava v'simcha mitzvah v'likus. If the ispayas av simcha mitzvah v'likus agam sheze b'murgesh, even if he feels it himself, ein b'zeh rak klal. Hu b'chinas ater. And he repeats himself. Shari gam ha'murgesh ha'regesh ha'lekim v'simchas nafsh ha'likus. Not he adds even more. V'yodua the basis pass. I mean, you do have to feel godliness. If you feel a likus, so the ergesh is not in a way of blita v'yeshes. It doesn't. You don't. You don't do blita. In other words, not showing off. שזה גם בעבודה חיצונית המוח והלב, שזה גם כן מסביק לישס, כנראה. Even in the avoid of חיצונית הלב, if it's done properly, it's bitla yesh mash befragnes slavas rich vesh nimishnis ba'alil, and especially it's not just chitzenius, like you said earlier. Remember, you earlier spoke about that chitzenius is not good, but even if it's vepnimius, the fact that you feel something, there's no yeshus there. It's tachlis hatayf. But Simon, but he's not satisfied. It is going to go into a long discussion here. Remember that itself, the fact that this ergish is not negative, doesn't contain any yeshus in it, as any separation being nifat from the ואויס והסימן על זה שהשמחה והאהבה מבחינת טוב בלי תערב עשרה בבייס דבורי. So the two expressions, two expressions, the word, the two aspects in the Aveda that prove that the Ergish is doesn't have any ra, any evil in it. It's pure Ergish Liki. So two parts. The first part will take almost half a page to describe. As Aleph, the first part is Be'esa Aveda Atzma. Let's take a step back. We're talking about all these feelings of Ava and Simcha. All this happens usually, like the Alter Rebbe described in Tanya, during davening. Davening is the time that we misbeinen. That's the end of davening. To be misbeinen and godless Hashem, and that will in turn bring a person the feeling of Ava. So all this happens during davening. So what happens? He says, when the person davens, Mele is in a state of Ava and Simcha, or number one, Shobelev, Nishba, Venitka, Veshifos, Achno, Busha, Mekol, Niger, Liber, Shedeh, Ba'atzma. Number one, the during davening, when he has that Ava take, but at the same time, his Nishba, Venitka is broken, shiftless, he's humble, Achno, Busha. And the translation of Achno right now, but Busha is in a state of shame. He recognizes his own distance from Elikus. And he's ashamed. And he feels in the neifel levava. His heart is down. That proves again. So that it says like I said, there are two simonim, two proofs. So earlier we spoke, like he said, he said that if he doesn't feel better than the other guy next to him, so that's one proof. But here he gives more stronger indication that the simcha and the ava doesn't have tarev esra. Number one, if while he has the simcha and ava, he also recognizes his own failings, his own distance from Elikus. So that is the beetle. Kamaima, kayadua, not Kamaima, what's the kayadua? Makamacha, but in a Maima. So it brings in the famous Maima in Zoya, the Alter brings in Tanya. Chedvet kir b'boy b'sitro do, kir b'sitro do. That during davening, a person has to be in a state. On one side, should have chedva, be happy and joyful, and at the same time, should be in a state of sadness and crying. Why? He says, these two modes of feelings, these two types of feelings, feeling of chedvan, feeling of fear, are opposites. Common muvdolin, I'm sorry, the separate ways, the separate lines, which means it's like eineg and tzar, which is opposites. Eineg means pleasure and tzar means pain. Or simcha me'ilus, happiness and bitterness, which are opposites. In the be'emes shneim boy milkuda achas. Ve'af echad achas nevir zelos. One brings the other. These two modes of joy and crying really derive from each other. Why? Not only that, the fact that he is happy and derives the light from being connecting the Eibishter, that automatically triggers the opposite. Is sad and is painful and bitter from the opposite of connection to Elikus. Fear means the same measure, the same measure of the feeling of Gilui Elikus. That itself triggers the opposite direction. So that itself, that he feels happiness at Elikus, that triggers the opposite mode that is in a state of Leiv Nishba V'Nitka. It's broken, that Bichlal is not connected to Elikus. That side of him that separated. Not only, so that Nishba V'Nitka is so strong that Shemai is B'Chayim. He loses his taste in life because he realizes that he's lacking the connection to Elikus. And that goof breaks down into two ways. Two ways how the simcha brings the tzar. Number one, imitat goydel tainik nafshe lekus, va'itsam chetzer tainik lekus, iktan be'ina v'ayva gil b'nafshe, v'kil ein be'giloi. So it's. I think it's similar to what he said earlier. He said, number one, the more he recognizes the greatness of Elikus, the more he realizes that what he has is nothing. Like we said earlier on the top of the page, that the more he understands, the more he realizes how what he has is nothing. So that gives him the feeling of more is b'chayim. He wants more. He's not satisfied with what he has. That's one point. Oy neshamagish oz madrigal yoyne yoyso. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I made the same mistake the first time. So both of these are part of the Oifen Aleph. Oim neshamagish oz madrigal yoyne yoyso. He feels, in other words, it's a very subtle difference. Either he knows, because he knows there's something higher. But male, he is dissatisfied with his current condition because he knows there's more than that. So male, that's going might have, or even more, he feels that there's something higher than him. Not only he knows, but he actually feels it. Of course, there is a concept.
To what he said before,
Yeah,
that Simoin, these two things.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about Simon here. I mean, I think it's similar.
But it's same, both things.
It's similar to the concept of Simon, but he doesn't use the word Simon here. Goydel einav v'nafshoy iktam be'einav ova gilu. Gilu ein be'gilu klal. Yeah, it looks like Simon, but it doesn't. It's an interesting description. It's
maybe
Goydel. What?
The shape is similar to these two things that he said in Simon, but maybe what is causing it, that's what makes a difference between what he said before and now. How the simcha and the avol elokut, the tritzoa is similar, no?
Maybe, yes. It sounds similar, but it doesn't use the word Simon. Yeah, it's a good point. Only mipnei shemagish as madrega al yeni yisach mishkos makom achalin ad v'ad b'chlal. Concept ad v'ad v'lo ad v'ad b'chal means you reached after that point, including the point. What's made it kasher madrega achas be'erach madrega al yeni. ונרגש בהם מדרגה עליינו ועדיין בערב ממנו, שום זהו בעצמי כלאה בערב הגיע לפני שמע, אין בערב במדרגה עליינו כי עדיין לא הגיע אליה. It's interesting how he describes it such a richus. Ad בכלל means that it's something that it's לפי ערכי. Let's say a person is in a state that he sees and he feels that there's a higher level than him, but he's not there yet. So that makes him feel, he didn't reach there yet. So that gives him the feeling of he calls it Mayas B'chayim. Gives him, he's broken, that he didn't reach yet that point. Ad v'loy ad b'chal means that he'll never be able to reach it. Ad b'chal means it's something that is within reach, but it's not there yet. So that creates a situation of Mayas B'chayim. So that's Oifena Aleph. Remember, I started the Chotze Eagle started the parenthesis with Shtei Panim. Zwei Panim, how the Chedva brings the Pchia. So the Oifena Aleph is the Chedva brings the Pchia because with the Chedva, he feels that there's something higher than him, and he sees it, he smells, whatever, he can describe, he hears about it, but he's not there. So that creates a strong feeling of lack of is missing something. So it creates that's one way. The base, it's not basil. That's right. That's a totally different, almost the opposite thing. That he actually reaches Takelikus. He connects to the Ebershter. He reached his goal, but person reaches he knows himself. He knows that he has nigel above, which means he knows. Let's say it says in the Beinani. Let's say that we'll stick to it if it says in Tanya by the Beinani. The Beinani knows that deep inside his nefesh abamis is alive and kicking and wants things that you're not supposed to do, and has on tyrus and even fails sometimes. So when he reaches the point that he is connected to Likus, he feels more how he's not where he's supposed to be. He knows, he recognizes that he has like it says in it brings the dogma from the Gemara, Talmid Chacham Shnitzer R'Dovid Olidort, but because it's a Talmid Chacham. So even a R'Dovid Olidort, even if there's something minor that is missing, so because he's a high madrega, he see more when you're in a like again, this is simple marshal. When you're in a dark place, you can recognize all the blemishes. And Mashenken, when you come to a brighter place, so over there every minor blemish is violent, is seen. So but what's happening here is because he reached such a high level of Oinegel Belikus, so all of a sudden he feels his chisaron is stronger. The fact that essentially he still has a nefesh abamis, he still has taivus, he still has he still knows that he deep within himself he's not perfect. So his imperfection is boiled more when he's in a state of chedva and eine galiki. Okay, yadua beinin slach lo nashayim shmenes. That Sidus explains why is it that punctum comes shmenes. Then we say slach lo. What do you mean? It's already first of all Psukkah de Zima and Birchas Krishma and Krishma. He already reached such high level of spirituality. And now Shemon Esra Kavda Kamemora, all of a sudden Slach lo never Nikichoton. All of a sudden remind yourself that the sin, I mean, forgot the sin should have been taken care of right before he died. So the answer is like the answer in the real sin, the superficial sin was taken care of right in the beginning. The chiddush is that when you reach such a high state, even something very subtle, R'Dovid Olidort, he calls it dakasara, the subtle evil the person has within himself. That when he's in a state of avdaka morish, that's when he feels the chatonu. That's why you have to stay slachlan when chatonu. Okay, to summarize this parenthesis we just finished. So before the parenthesis said the chedva and b'chia, and really the chedva triggers the b'chia. The fact that he's so excited and happy and joyful, the likus, that triggers a state of b'chia, which means sadness and tsar. He said something extremely radical. You lose the state. How can these two things work together? So in the parenthesis, he gave us two ways of understanding it. Number one is that because he's connected and he feels there's something higher than him. So then that gives him, he's very unhappy with his current state. He's not there yet. So that can reach a state of Ad Shemayis B'chayim. Let's say if you don't know, but if you're not connected at all, so you don't know what you're missing. Mainly, you don't feel any pain. But if you started connecting to something and you can't reach the ultimate thing in the middle, so that creates a state of mayas v'chayas. I want to feel a likus fully, and I can't. I'm not there yet. So that creates a state of mayas v'chayas. That's explanation number one in parentheses. Second explanation is even in a way deeper. That it's not just the current experience that you can't reach. He says you reached already everything, but after you reached the connection to likus, you recognize that deep within yourself there's still dakasara. Like I said, it's easier to talk about dakasara in the language, like I said, with the Beinani of Tanya. It's daka Beinani, but still, he has dakasara. He has a subtle desire and inclination and something which is not right. So the fact that he has the dakasara, that pains him much more when he's in a state of chedva of malikus. The recognition that deep inside is not perfect. So that imperfection creates a state of mayas b'chayim. Not he does a now he develops it more. What?
What is the avail of the tzaddikim that they don't have the doctor?
I don't know. It says the Alter Rebbe. It says that the Alter Rebbe wrote the Sefer Shel Tzaddikim when it was burned. I don't know what it was. I mean, but it's tzaddikim. Look, it says sometimes it says in Chassidus that tzaddikim also. There is it says lost it, love it, tzaddikai b'tiyuf. The later in the Maimer, remember, he's going to talk about about tzaddik. I mean, everybody. It says in the tzaddikim ein lehem menucha. Yelchem achayil l'chayil. There's always the likus is big rule. No matter how much you get, they can get always can get higher. So no, K'maimer Rabila Lavaya Beinani. I just used Beinani as a way to illustrate what he says about dakasara. We can talk about dakasara in a more simple way. That they say, oh, he's so good, but the most subtle, there's some kind of subtle streak of wrath, ego, something which is not right. I mean, you can describe it in other ways. Dakasara. I just use Tanya is the most basic understanding what dakasara is. Okay, that. The more he tastes the more he connects, the more bitterness you'll feel from the opposite, from the fact that he didn't reach what he could reach. Now he talks about the opposite direction. Based on the fear, the crying, and the dissatisfaction and bitterness that he feels because he wants to live as a chayv hagashmi, because he feels that his physical life, material life, is worthless and it's not something good. Okay. Okay, so we're in the middle of the Eifna Aleph to explain how the Simcha, what is the Siman that the Ava does not have evil in it. That the Ava is pure, that the Ava is bit. Okay. Kasha Simcha v'Ava l'kisei amitis mismarma ma'od al richukah. So what bottom line, the end result is that the Avaz Amitis, the Mismar, he is very bitter about his distance. It's very humble and Nivs the Bain, Komaka Misnachem and naturally scar Lavai, Pins Beetle Vazaz and Mikol Sinas Azores. The same time he wants to connect, he connects to the Eberster, beat instead of Beetle and Hazaz and Mikol Sinas Azores, and he removes all his foul and interest, שלא יהיה מקושר בהם, שזהו עיקר כוונה בסלאבוס, אבל בתפילה, שנעשה על ידי זבנוס, שבחינס ביטל מכל רוצן זו פנימוס ליבוי. So that's really the ultimate purpose of this davening, that it should be in a state of ביטל מכל רוצן זו בפנימוס ליבוי. actually רק לב, אחד להעביר בשמיים. Only be in one direction. So this is the siman. Okay, to summarize what he said here, what is siman number one? That the Ava doesn't have Tarev Ra. The siman is if the Ava comes together with the feeling of shiflus, with the Leiv Nishba V'Nitke. If the Ava doesn't trigger within him the Leiv Nishba V'Nitke, the Moyas V'Chayo, that's not a good sign. If he reaches that point, that's a sign that his Ava is Ava Amitis. So that's siman Aleph. Siman Beis will continue.
So the Slavus Alebit Philo is a must for everyone, or there is a higher target in Philo?
Yeah, going to Tanya, that's the simple understanding the Alter Rebbe explains what davening means. Davening means to be in a state of excitement for the kus. Yeah, that's what davening means. Yeah.
Because in Likutei Torah he brings that there is a Aveda from without the Slavus, from Levioson, that is Benichusa, but
okay, that is I mean
bit
but I think okay that obviously there's also that level of avodah, but the standard is, why do we say all these why do we daven with the psuka de zimra and all the psukim we say in davening, they're supposed to create a feeling of excitement in the Slavos. The simple understanding of davening is it's all about it's all about greatness of the Eibishter, which is supposed to create the Slavos. That's a simple understanding. Okay, now you're talking about there's a more deeper maybe way to look at it. Okay, but it's not. Over here we're talking about the standard understanding of davening. Okay. All right.
Yeah.